Number 1A says evaluate the expression, and we are going to do it using orders of operations only. So our expression starts with 2.2 times -2, then divided by -1/4, and times 5. So the first step in order of operations is parentheses, but there's nothing happening in our parentheses. Then we would do exponents, and this problem has no exponents. So then we move on to multiplication and division, but those are on the same level, the same part in our list. So we work from left to right, meaning we need to do -2.2 times -2. When you have two signs that are the same, you get a positive answer. 2.2 times 2 becomes 4.4, and it is positive. Then we still have to do the rest of it in the next step. When you divide by a fraction, you can change that to multiplication by flipping the fraction over. So then we are multiplying by -4/1, which is just the same as multiplying by a -4. So you have -4 times 4.4. We have different signs. One of them is positive and one of them is negative. So we're going to end up with a negative result. And 4.4 times 4 is 17.6. Then we still have to multiply. Oops, I made that a 4. It should say 5. Multiply by 5. So -17.6 times 5 gives us -88. And you can use a calculator on this problem. You do not have to do it all in your head, but if you can, that would be great too. You do not have to do B and C, you just have to do the order of operations piece. Now we are going to move on to question 2. 2A. We have 2 1/4 being multiplied by -8. And it says to use the distributive property. So what they're going to have us do is separate 2 1/4 into the whole number and the fraction piece, and then multiply by 8. The distributive property, -8. The distributive property says to multiply both pieces on the inside by whatever thing you have to multiply by. So in this case, I have -8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. But because I have one negative and one positive, the opposite signs give me a negative answer. Then we are going to add whatever -8 times 1/4 is. Well, 1/4 of 8, if you split 8 into 4 equal parts, you get 2. But again, it's negative since we have a negative and a positive being multiplied together. So -16 plus -2, we go to 16 and we count backwards 2 and we get to -18. 2B says 2/3 times 7, -7, plus 2/3 times -5. They are using the distributive property already split up, but that's taking 2/3, and since you're multiplying it by -7 and then adding a -5, this is kind of what it would look like to begin with. So we are going to take 2/3 of -7. 7 times 2 is 14, but we have a negative. And then we're going to do 2/3 times -5. 2 times 5 is 10, but it's negative. And then we have the 3 on the bottom. Now I need to add my numerators together. And I have -14, and then I keep going backwards 10, so I'm at negative 24 over 3. You can ask yourself, how many sets of 3 does it take to get to 24? And it takes 8. 8 sets of 3 gives you 24, but since you have a negative divided by a positive, the different signs give you a negative answer. For number 3, we have 0.38 times 3 divided by negative 1/20th times 3 and divided by 8, negative 8. For this problem, we need to use order of operations again. Multiplication and division are on the same line. They have the same importance in order of operations. So we need to work from left to right. The question asks us not only to find the correct answer, but to identify her mistake and let her know how she can avoid making that mistake in the future. So the first thing we need to do is work from left to right. So we're going to do 0.38 times 3. When you do that, you get 1.14. And we still have to divide by negative 1/20th, multiply by 5, and divide by negative 8. Remember, we are working from left to right. One mistake that Mia makes is she doesn't go in order. She changes the order and she puts the 5 in front of the 1/20. We don't want to change the order because division is not commutative. Now we're going to move on to the next piece. We have 1.14, and if you are dividing by a fraction, you can change it to multiplication by flipping it over. So this becomes negative 20 over 1, but that's just a whole number. And then we have times 5 and divided by negative 8 at the end. So we're going to do this step here because that is the next piece when we work from left to right. So 1.14 times negative 20 gives us negative 22.8. And then we're going to multiply that by 5 and divide by negative 8. Our next step is here because it is farther to the left, and multiplication and division happen at the same time for order of operations. So negative 22.8 times 5 is negative 114. Then we're going to divide by negative 8, and since they have the same sign and they're both negative, we will get a positive answer. And 114 divided by 8 is 14.25. You could also write 14 and a quarter because a quarter is worth 25 cents. Either one of those answers is acceptable. Another mistake Mia makes is that she changed the negative 1/20 to a regular 1/20. She lost the negative in the second line. So she changed negative 1/20th to 1/20. And the way that she can avoid this mistake is she needs to copy down the problem more carefully. These minor details are really important because they can change your answer pretty drastically. So it's important to keep even the little tiny details the same. You got to be very careful when you copy down the problem. Don't forget to put your name on your paper and staple any extra pieces you have that you need to go with it.